Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Format Podcast Live. Yeah, that's right. So obviously, as you know, if you follow this channel, we normally do our live shows on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. But I've been away I was away last week, didn't get to do a show Saturday night, and a lot of stuff has gone on since I've been gone. No way I can cover it all, but I figured I'd get on here and do a show tonight, kind of get back in the flow and talk about some things I've been talking about, or I've been thinking about, excuse me. So I definitely want to get to that. As you can see from the thumbnail, we got some interesting topics lined up for you. Some of this stuff you might have already heard commentary on over the last week or so, but definitely wanted to give my thoughts on these things and discuss it. If you see me looking to the right, it's because on my second monitor I got the Celtics and Cavs game going to be on, so definitely want to see what's going on there. But before we get to our show, you already know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. All right. So also keep this in mind if you're watching this at a later time, if you're watching live now, please go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like I said in the little blurb there a minute ago, share the channel with other people. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of the month. We definitely made a lot of progress. It's out on YouTube how your second 1,000 subscribers comes a lot faster than your first. But anyway, yeah, please make sure you do that. Please make sure you're liking the channel. When you come into the chat, make sure you let us know where you're coming in from. All right. So let's get to it. One, I don't even know, man. There seems to be just a lot of beef in general over the last few months going on in the world of media. I mean, you had Whitlock and Stephen A. That one was serious. You have obviously the Drake and Kendrick Lamar, which I don't know. I wasn't that impressed by that, but again, I'm an old school hip hop guy. So whatever. But so we had the Drake and Kendrick Lamar, and now we have this Shannon Sharpe and Shaquille O'Neal, which come on, man. But this is interesting. So last week Nikola Jokic, excuse me, won his third MVP in 4 years, and it caused some pretty interesting fallout in terms of the sports media, but it was between guys that I never would have expected. So here's how it all began. After Nikola Jokic won, Shaquille O'Neal had some commentary for him, and then Shannon Sharpe responded, and then it kind of went back and forth. So let's talk about that. So let's hear what kind of started it off in terms of Shaquille O'Neal and his commentary on Jokic winning his third MVP in 4 years.
I don't like to rain on people's parade, but I'm not happy with this one. Congratulations to Joker. You are the best big man in the league, but based on everybody's criteria, my criteria, stat stuffer, you guys' criteria, number one seed, which team has a better record, I felt Shai Alexander deserved it because I've been number two a lot. When I played my ass off, number two. So the fact that he has to start all over next year and try to win it again, I think it was. I know it's going to be hurtful for him. Hopefully he uses this to motivate him to win a championship. But I thought, and again, no disrespect to the Joker, best big man in the league by far. You could have went this way, but I thought Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Joker, as the president of the Big Man Alliance, you are the vice president of the Big Man Alliance. You know I love you, the best player in the league. I want to congratulate you, but I want you to hear from me first. I thought the SGA should have been the MVP. That's no disrespect to you, but congratulations.
So that was interesting because I love that Shaq kept it 100 and said what he thought. I don't think it was disrespectful. Other people in the sports media, Stephen A. Smith and, of course, Shannon Sharpe and some others had issues with Shaq saying that. I didn't have any issues with it. He didn't say Jokic is a bum. He didn't say Shai Gilgeous got robbed. He just said he thought that SGA should have won it. And I'm cool with that. I mean, we want our sports media personalities to tell the truth and be honest as they believe they're being honest, right? So why are we upset when they actually do that? I don't get it. So you heard Shaq say that, and he actually, you heard at the last part of the clip when he said, "I want you to hear it from me." So Jokic didn't have to hear that from anyone else. Shaq told him to his face on the show right there. Well, obviously not to his face, but they were, they were on a video call, and Shaq told him what he thought. And so I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. I love the honesty. And Shannon Sharpe, I guess he didn't. So now here are his comments in response to Shaq saying that to Jokic, and maybe there's some truth in it. But before we get to that, I forgot about this. Now we have Jokic in pretty elite company, right? Magic Johnson won 3 MVPs. Larry Bird won 3 MVPs, 3 in a row at one point. I want to say Wilt has 4 MVPs. Kareem has 6. Michael Jordan has 5. So now LeBron obviously has 4. So now Jokic, in terms of the MVPs, is getting into real elite company. So now let's hear what Shannon Sharpe had to say in response to Shaq telling Nikola Jokic that he didn't believe that he should have won the MVP this year.
The Lakers are hoping to retain LeBron this offseason. Dave McMenamin.
Sorry about that, wrong clip. Let me go ahead and get you to Shannon Sharpe.
I think a part of Shaq, he might not ever admit this, but Shaq see these guys winning these MVPs and a little envious because, and I don't care. Look, I understand that Shaq got 4 titles and he has 3 Finals MVPs, but Shaq know deep down we should be having a discussion for GOAT. Shaq name is never brought up in the discussion. Now we bring his name up with big mans, with Will, Russell, and Kareem, and rightfully so. But we're never going to see another guy Shaq's size with his athleticism that was as dominant as him.
Yeah.
And he robbed himself because he didn't take it serious enough. Did he take it serious? Not nearly as serious as he should have. Shaq should have 5 MVPs. Shaq should have 7 titles. And I think he sees a guy like Nikola Jokic that's not as dominant as him and gets 3 and 4 years.
Yeah.
And people are talking about him. And they talk about him dominant big man. But see, when you historically great, they talk about you as great basketball player, the GOAT. And Shaq is never brought up. When they say Tom Brady, even though he plays quarterback, they say Tom Brady is the greatest football player. Ocho, you and I debate. We say Jerry. We say Lawrence Taylor or whomever. But right. Tom Brady, although he played quarterback, Shaq is never brought up in those discussions when it comes to GOAT. He's never in front of Magic. He's never in front of LeBron. He's never in front of Jordan. He's never in front of Kareem. He's never really in front of Russell. When we talk about GOATs, those Mount Rushmore. And I think a part of him is envious of that. But he doesn't have anybody to blame but himself.
But do you think it's because he's a center, though? Obviously, when we talk about the GOAT conversation,
Nikola Jokic is a center. Kareem is a center.
But okay.
Kareem got 6.
When I think of Jokic,
Russell got 5. Chamberlain got 4. What are we talking about here? Magic got 3. Bird got 3. Moses Malone was a center. He has 3. What are we talking about here, Ocho?
When I was talking earlier about the lead players who won those multiple MVPs, I forgot Moses Malone. It's sad that how often we forget about Moses Malone because he was an all-time great. He just recently went out of the top 10 in scoring. He's one of the most dominant rebounders. He's a champion, ABA, NBA, all that. But anyway, shout outs to Moses Malone. But back to the topic at hand. So you heard what Shannon Sharpe had to say. And it's interesting to me that Shaq got irritated about this. I often use the expression hit dogs holler. And maybe there's something to that. Maybe I'm not going to say that I agree with the jealousy part, but maybe there's some irritation in play here that maybe Shaq doesn't get his due the way he should. And maybe it's less to do with his dominance and more to the fact that the game is not played in a way that's really conducive to the type of big man he was, getting a lot of praise and getting a lot of attention in the modern day basketball media. So maybe there's something to that. I can understand why Shaq would be irritated. I don't think he has an issue with Jokic. I don't think he hates him. He has said before that Jokic is, one of his favorite players and the best player in the league. So I get all that. But the other thing is, it was interesting because Shaq has talked in the past about how he probably didn't work hard enough in the offseason, or if he had been tougher in terms of his workout and more of a work ethic, and him and Kobe had managed to stay together, they could have won more. But the thing about that is this: when you're at a point, and Shaq was at this point for most of his career, that, and I'm not saying he didn't work hard, but you don't necessarily have to work as hard as a Kobe or a Michael, and you can still dominate. Where is the incentive to do that work, to be that dominant, when you won 4 championships without being a crazy workout warrior or a guy who was going nuts to develop extra skills and whatnot in the offseason or increase the bag, as people like to say? Because what? Nobody can guard him regardless in his prime. So from what, 1992 all the way up to about 2007, nobody could really deal with Shaq, right? So obviously towards the end, the injuries and the weight, so on and so forth. But it's kind of like Wilt Chamberlain saying if he knew that anyone was ever going to catch it, he would have put the scoring record completely out of reach. And I totally get that. So that's kind of the thing with Shaq. If he maybe had known, damn, if I work a little harder, I can win some more and I'll be widely regarded as the greatest big man of all time. Maybe he does that. But hindsight is 2020. We can't always see that. So I think maybe there is some irritation from Shaq in terms of the way people don't talk about him the way they should in the modern NBA. But again, his game and his style wasn't conducive to that. So there's no real comp. You can't see anyone playing that way, and no one does. Okay, so then Shaq apparently obviously got wind of Shannon Sharpe's comments, and he responded with a lengthy Instagram post, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, quote, "You took me sticking up for Shea, at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, as jealousy. Shows how smart you are and how you say anything to get clicks. So here's some clickbait for you. If you ain't ranked in the top 10 in your profession, then you can't speak on me. Don't forget, I know what you did to get where you at. Me jealous? LOL, sounds like you jealous. I know you're trying to stay relevant by gossiping on your podcast. We don't believe you. You need more people. And in case you forgot, 4 rings, 3 finals MVPs, top 50 and top 75. Google me. And to be quite frank, all this new success you got, you still under me. You don't know my work ethic, but according to you, I work less than you, but I'm worth more than you. Make it make sense. Love you too. If you need help making money, it's better ways than gossiping. I'm too old for this ish. Love always, the most dominant big man ever who never took it serious. Remember, I don't even know you. And in the words of Skip Bayless, I'm better than you. Hashtag G14 classification. I have it. You don't. Not in my profession. And in your GOAT debate, never wanted to be the GOAT. I wanted to be who you should greet me as, the most dominant ever. Hashtag the apex predator. Okay, so Shaq fired off. He fired back with that. He got at Shannon. So again, like I said earlier, I think there was some irritation. I think he felt some kind of way about the commentary that Shannon made. And I don't, yeah, it was interesting where he took it in terms of going at Shannon's career. And Shannon, to his credit, when he responded to those comments, he admitted, he says, listen, I'm not saying that I had the career you did in my sport as compared to yours. And I'm loosely quoting. He said, but I know that I maximized every bit of ability that I had. I did everything I could do to be the best I could be. And he's always said this. He's satisfied with where he is and what he has done in the game of football, because he really did maximize every bit of talent he could have had. When he was done, he had all the records for a tight end. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, you can't do anything now to change it. You got to be satisfied with what you did in your career. But that was very, I was like, man, Shaq, he didn't have to go hard like that and go at Shannon Sharpe. That was I clearly think he was irritated about the way that whole thing went down with Nikola Jokic and Shannon Sharpe's commentary. But the thing is, I don't know why Shaq is upset when he's kind of agreed to some of those statements himself in the past. I guess he just didn't like whom it was coming from. So interesting. No, we've heard a couple of people now. Marcellus Wiley said it. Shaq has said it, and I think I heard someone else say, we know what you did to get where you at. And you can actually, I'm not going to spoil it, but you can go check out Marcellus Wiley's podcast. Obviously not right now. Finish this one first. But you can go check out Marcellus Wiley's podcast where he talks about what he believes Shaq had to do to get where he is, and so on and so forth. So definitely interesting commentary on that. So it even got to a point, and to me, this was kind of crazy, but still interesting, right? Because we know right now, as I mentioned earlier, you got the Kendrick and Drake beef. Shaq turned around and he actually made a diss record, a diss rap song for Shannon Sharpe. Now, maybe a lot of the younger people don't know, but Shaq has been rapping since I want to say 1993. He's from Newark, New Jersey originally, so he's always been influenced by hip hop and by rap music and stuff like that. And he actually I guess after his first year in the league during the summer, he recorded an album called Shaq Diesel, and I think the album went platinum. And Shaq can rhyme. Shaq is not a bum on the mic. And he actually back then did a song with maybe around 95, 96 or something like that. He did a song with Notorious B.I.G. He did the man, I can't remember the name of the song. I had it on the tip of my tongue just now. But anyway, he did it. Oh, Can't Stop the Rain remix. And it was tough. He got in there and he rhymed with, a guy that a lot of people think is the greatest rapper of all time. So yeah, Shaq can actually go when he gets on the mic. You heard a couple of years ago, he did the diss track and really got it. Dame Lillard crushed him. I think it was over the Victory beat. So anyway, the point is he did the diss track for Shannon Sharpe, and I would have played it here, but I didn't know if I had clearance for that and didn't want to deal with the video getting demonetized and all that. But you can just go YouTube and type in Shaq diss record Shannon Sharpe and it'll come up. So the point I'm trying to make, man, this whole thing was it was wild. It was wild. And so you have Shannon Sharpe and Shaquille O'Neal just going back and forth, and I'm like, come on, man. And I don't know. I guess Nikola Jokic is probably sitting back like, man, what is wrong with these Americans? What's going on here? But yeah, that's the end of that topic. I'm gonna leave it there. That was a whole really interesting thing. And if you watch it back and forth, you're like, how did this even come about? Just because Shaq gave us exactly what we asked for in our analysts, and that's to be honest. But it is what it is.